Hello everyone, my name is Srish and I am a partner relations manager for Zoho Creator and I'll be the moderator for today's session. I would like to thank you all for joining this webinar on enabling greater collaboration with external stakeholders. Agenda for today's session is that we will be talking about digital transformation and how it can help in transforming customer and partner experience. Who are our external stakeholders and what are the challenges that we face while working with them? And how Zoho Creator as a low-code platform can help in tackling those challenges. Let's meet the speakers of today's session. First, we have Rey Lugtu on the panel. Rey is a digital and cultural transformation thought and action leader, a sought-after public speaker, and he is currently the CEO of Hungry Workhorse, a digital and cultural transformation consulting firm. Thank you, Rey, for joining us today. We also have Sachin on the panel. Sachin is Vice President of Business Development at Zoho. He has helped organizations realize that strategic goals in various industries. I welcome you on board, Sachin. Next, we have Bishan Singh, who is the head of enterprise solution at Zoho. His experience ranges from business consulting, product, and business development in enterprise applications. Thank you for joining us today, Bishan. So I'll just go ahead and transfer it to Rey, who will talk about how digital transformation can help in transforming customer and partner experiences. Handing it over to you, Rey.
Thank you, Shrish. Good afternoon, everyone. So, my company is a digital and culture transformation firm. We have been doing a lot of consulting since 3-4 years ago here in Philippines, as well as some companies abroad. So, I will share with you some of our observations and findings, as well as expert views on transforming the customer and partner experience. Now, digital transformation is something that we have been promoting, in Philippines and in the region. And I give you this, definition of ours. It is a strategic action to accelerate business processes, competencies, and business models to fully leverage on the changes and opportunities of digital technologies and their impact in a prioritized way. Now, key term here is strategic action. Now, the mere definition, the confusion on the definition of digital transformation is actually leading to many of the failures, if not digital transformation not progressing in many organizations. So these are the reasons why DX or digital transformation is not progressing. So business leaders do not treat DX as a strategic action, but rather a functional IT strategy. We have seen this in many organizations where the CEO, COO, or CMO will implement point solutions and call it digital transformation. Now, second is organization culture, which is embodied by the mindset of the business owners and leaders, as well as employee resistance to change. Now, before COVID, we have observed in Philippines as well as some companies abroad that business owners do not transform unless there is a clear threat. Now, during COVID, this is clearly a threat to all businesses. That's why we're seeing an acceleration of digitization, not even digital transformation, but digitization, which consists of point solutions. So again, it's important to note that a successful digital transformation involves, the CEO, the CEO's, mandate, and changing the culture of the organization. So why are companies pursuing DX now? No? So pre-COVID, based on our observation and working with several clients, first is to address pain points of customers along the customer journey. So we do a lot of customer journeys with Philippine companies, and this is the main driver. And primarily many of these pain points are all customer facing. It may be an interface, where using an app, or a physical store. So those are the main pain points of customers. Second, it is addressing a threat from competition or even copying competition. So because digital transformation has become a buzzword, and there are many poster companies out there that has successfully implemented digital transformation. Look at DBS in Singapore. No? It has become a poster child of DX among the banking sector. No? That's why it is a model for digital transformation in many countries. And the third is provide better employee experience. No? Now I listed this in order. No? The last thing that is transformed usually in companies are the employee experience. The first thing to transform are the customer engagement and customer interfaces. Now, what are the outcomes of DX initiatives? Again, basing it on our experience with Philippine companies, the first improvements are in CSAT and Net Promoter Score. So, we're seeing this immediate improvement, especially when digital transformation is coupled with, changing the mindset, changing the culture of the organization from a product focused organization to a customer centric organization. So we're seeing this improvement immediately in organizations. Next is improvements in employee satisfaction. Employees are important in many organizations. So employee sat is usually correlated with CSAT and NPS. And then lastly, all of these improvement in these metrics results in improvements in top line and bottom line. Now, let me transfer this to Shashin, who will talk about who the external stakeholders are and what their challenges are.
Thank you, Ray, and good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here. So yeah, let's look at who these external stakeholders are. Um, so as one would imagine, these are customers, which are obviously the most important stakeholders to an organization. They are the ones who get us revenue, which is required for sustaining and the growth of the company. Obviously, the suppliers and vendors, which are part of the backward supply chain. There are distributors and tier 1 and tier 2 retailers who are part of the forward supply chain. Partners could be the sales partners of an organization, stockists, warehouses. In some cases, these would be entities which are related to the government, part of our compliance and regulatory environment in which any company operates in. So these are a few examples, but I mean, think of them as anything outside of the organization, various entities that an organization has to connect with. Let's spend some time understanding a typical challenges that an organization faces working with these external stakeholders. So visibility, I think it's very important to understand what lack of visibility can mean, or a greater visibility can mean to an organization. So most companies, as you would know, are moving from a forecasting based production planning to a demand driven production plan. Right? What it means is that how much of which SKU to produce is a decision that a company makes based on data that they are able to collect in terms of how much was sold by the distributor, how much was sold by the tier 1 retailer, and the last mile retailer who is selling to the consumer. And if they are able to get this data on a real-time basis, on an everyday basis, not just on a weekly or a monthly basis, that much more efficient becomes their production planning. So they are able to then produce to stock and produce to sell based on real-time data, and therefore on one hand there are no stockouts, on the other they produce what actually sells in the market. Most cost-effective companies are able to do this on real-time basis, and they are able to do it only when they have information from their supply chain. Similarly, communication with the external stakeholders is important. So, to give you an example, a problem statement with one of a large media company was whom we worked with was so they publish newspapers. So how to communicate on to all their newspaper distributors on what the promotions they are running, what are the incentives, what are the changes in policies. They wanted to communicate this to everyone on a real-time basis. Another one, which a big global luggage manufacturer, they had a problem statement about when any of our customer who is using the 10-year global warranty on their suitcases. So this was Samsonite, by the way. They come and bring a suitcase back to the shop from where they bought the suitcase. There should be a system with which the retailer is able to accept that and sends it to the warehouse, which goes to the mechanic, it gets repaired, and then finally goes back to the customer. But a system which captures all this information is able to monitor it. So what I'm saying through these examples, essentially the point is you need to share information, but relevant information in a secured way. And you can't do this just by exposing your ERP or core ERP systems, because they are quite expensive. You can't probably buy additional licenses for your suppliers and for your distributors, and the pricing and contractual mechanism may not even allow you to do. So there has to be a solution. So in this context, how do you solve this problem? So that becomes an interesting problem to solve, and I'll invite Bishan to maybe throw some light on innovative ways of solving this problem.
Thank you, Sachin, and good afternoon, everyone. Quickly, as Sachin talked about, the challenges we have with our business partners, external stakeholders, as we are calling them. The key things he talked about are sharing the information. The information exchange is key, which is, I think, easier with the internal ERPs and systems we have in place. But how do you do that with the vast world of external stakeholders you have? And Sachin also talked about, the regulators, the distributors, the suppliers. You could have anybody sitting outside of the organization. Um, so Zoho Creators cloud-based portals nicely address that. These portals make collaboration with external stakeholders extremely simple, uh, and they address the very issues that Sachin talked about. I mean, how do you share your information, your internal data, without exposing your systems, which are sitting mostly, if these are on-premise solutions, sitting inside your DMZ, all the security built around them. So how do you share the information in a limited, secure way, and that too without breaking the bank? I mean, some of the ERPs, you know, make it prohibitively expensive to bring these business partners onto the fold. So Zoho Creator, the portals would address those very issues. It makes it seamless, or these portals make it seamless to give access to your external stakeholders, may it be your suppliers, vendors, distributors, or your customers. And in fact, there are customers across globe who are using Zoho Creator portal solutions for the very same purpose. uh, on the other side, one we talked about at one end, giving access to the business partners who are sitting outside of your organization. these portals also make it very simple to connect the portals back to your internal ERP systems with our open APIs. So at the back end, you may have an SAP or Oracle system sitting. So this becomes your layer by which you are talking to customers outside. And maybe down the line we talk a little more how the what are the benefits you get out of it. But for now, we want to show you an example of how one of these portals look like. I would walk you through quickly a supplier portal that is sitting on Zoho Creator. So this is one example of the portals that are part of Zoho Creator. This is a supplier portal. So the problem statement here is, how do you collaborate with your suppliers in a seamless manner? So with suppliers, I think the key process part of the P2P that uh, you would automate here would be right from your purchase order to doing the invoicing and anything involved in between. How do you make that seamless? uh, so what you see here on the screen is an admin access, just to keep it simple. So you can see everything that is within the portal built in. Now, depending on various roles, whether your supplier is accessing the system, or what of your suppliers users are accessing the system, your own internal users are using the system, uh, depending on that, these various pages or items would be visible to them. For now, everything is visible, so you can see what all is there. So as a system, the very first thing I talked about, seamlessly integrating. So if you have an ERP sitting at the back end, or even on your, you are doing some of these things on an Excel or in systems that you have built yourself, you can bring out the data from there in a seamless way. All the information, all the master data you need to bring in, you could pull it in. You could import it from different file types, or you could just pull those file types in, or you could have the APIs configured against your ERP system. So that within this, whether it's your purchase orders or all the other details that you want to pull in into the system, could be done seamlessly. Coming back, being an admin of the account, you could do the configuration of inviting the suppliers, also ensuring other people who you want to make admins within the account. You could do that. uh, and once you invite the suppliers, you can have a look at the suppliers that are already in the system. And if you want to add additional suppliers, you could make an invitation to the suppliers. The suppliers can have their own login. They go in, configure, and update the supplier information. This also is one of the problem I have seen. The very basic issue for organizations with suppliers spread across a large number of suppliers. They sometimes do not even have the updated information about their suppliers. So this becomes self-service for the suppliers. The supplier users go in, uh, they update the information at their end, they update the catalog of the service or material that they have. So suppliers can control their own account. They can invite their own users. They can uh, you know they can take it from there. And then the catalog information is visible to you. What different suppliers are supplying. Maybe this information can be sliced and diced. Catalogs can be created based on the requirements of the customers. So this information exchange is happening seamlessly. You do not have to send emails or do this in an asynchronous mode, this is visible as it is done real time at both ends. So on the orders, once you see, the assumption here is the purchase orders are already created within your, or they are being passed from your ERP system. But if you want to create them, that also you could do here, and you could assign them to the suppliers, or you could automate based on your suppliers history, the catalog, what kind of match between your requirement and the catalog they provide. It could also be designed to automatically pass on to the suppliers who are closely matching the PO requirement from your side. And at the end, we can look at what kind of dashboarding you can have, where you can catch hold of the supplier performance, what have they been doing, what percentage match. I mean, everything is configurable, customizable. uh, and here, once you have any purchase order that you have relayed to a supplier, supplier in turn can have the ability to accept this, or kind of ask for a change, ask for an amendment to the purchase order. You can cancel a purchase order at any certain point in time. So every functionality that you would require, uh, you know in the process of your suppliers having the purchase order, would be available to you. So this, it is in draft status right now. You could place this order, so this would become a confirmed purchase order. And some of these I'm trying to see. So these are the purchase orders which are rejected by certain suppliers. They were sent to some purchase orders that the suppliers had asked for an amendment change. They have been changed. So all this would be possible. And then the ASN, the moment the suppliers ship that also can be automated. If it's some kind of material that's being shipped, you can have barcode screening, all that at the point in shipping. And that can also trigger an automatic invoice, or from a purchase order the supplier can decide to raise an invoice. So it makes it very flexible, so they do not have to enter all the items all over again. So they can pull it in, the information that's available uh, in the purchase order. uh, and coming back, this can come back to your ERP, or you can access the system right here and have this consolidated information. So all the options are up to you as an organization. And one thing that's not being shown here, let's assume, I mean, a step before this, most of the requisition creation, all that would happen within your ERPs. Let's say you do not have that, or you have lots of variation in the way your requisitions are getting approved. Let's on HR front, you have three level approvals for any of the purchase orders that you are going to create for the services that you want to procure. Then in some other department, you have a 4 5 level approval that goes to different department heads. So you can create your own requisition workflow here. It is very very simple to create a workflow within the system. So you can even have your requisition workflows, that depending on which department, which at what level people are creating this. Depending on that, you have the multiple level approvals, and finally, it comes into the purchase order and moves from here. So this is an example of a portal solution. We were talking about it, which, I mean, you can use as a standalone solution. You can integrate with the ERPs that you have available at your end, and then you can build all kind of analytics reporting. I was saying, the KPIs that you want to track for each of your suppliers. you can put that in place here. All of this is customizable, and some of the data, if you want to further drill down into the data, what purchase orders are confirmed, what has happened, that also, you can have kind of reports that can directly take you to the data. So this is just a sample of certain reports that, or dashboards we have put in place here. So this was a brief glimpse of a portal that we already have available, what this is about, and can take it further from
Sure.
here.
But I have a question here that there are already a lot of portal solutions out there in the market. So why Zoho Creator portals? What is different about them?
Maybe I will take that question, Shirish. So the main difference, as I would, is the fact that a pre-built solution that you can buy from the market, commercially off-the-shelf supplier portal kind of a solution, versus a Zoho Creator-powered supplier portal. The key difference is in terms of the flexibility and the agility, right? And the difference comes because the solution that we are talking about is built on a low code platform. And the power of low code platform is in terms of the ability to create an application 10 times faster and create for change. So it is inherently designed to build for agility. And I believe that in the current dynamic business environment that we are faced with, where we are seeing black swan events like COVID hitting us, and everything changes so drastically, the biggest capability that we need in our IT solutions is the ability to change fast. So, and that is typically a constraint with the traditional ERPs and the traditional, big monolithic kind of systems that have been around. Once, when you buy them, it takes a lot of time to implement. Once you implement, they are more or less set. And any change would require you to get a bunch of developers, engage your implementation partners, and that could be a few months of process. Now, compare that to a situation where your business environment changes, you want to make that change, and it takes, you may not even need a developer to make that change. It could just be a drag and drop, and you don't need to write a single line of code to make that change, whether it is adding a few fields, whether it is adding another layer of approval in your workflow, whether it is just adding a set of suppliers. So that is the biggest difference when you get a solution built on Zoho Creator. So in that context, let me just take a few minutes to explain what Zoho Creator is. It's a low-code platform, and for some of you who may not have heard of this terminology, it's now a space which is well recognized by Gartner. There is a magic quadrant on low-code platform. As the name suggests, what it means is you can drag and drop and build an application without writing any code, and that is why the word low code. Sometimes it is also called no code, sometimes it's called low code. These are different variations of the same platform, but the platform then automatically generates the code, provides you the cloud and the software infrastructure to run all your applications on. You just need to deal with it at the level of business requirements to drag and drop and build applications. And when you build an application on Zoho Creator for the web, it automatically generates a version of that application as a progressive mobile app, so it's mobile responsive, as well as generates an application, native mobile applications for Android and iOS as well. So which means, again, you don't need those skill sets of Android developers, iOS developers, or any of that. In fact, very simple scripting skills are required for anyone to build these applications. And then we also have business users who have absolutely no technical knowledge can even build simple applications themselves. So, so that's what a low-code platform is. And in terms of, just want to give a little bit of context as to why companies are kind of embracing this and realizing the importance of low code platforms, and these are emerging as the new way of building applications within the organizations. So if one were to look at the point of view of internal IT departments within any organization, which have the responsibility to serve the business by driving digital transformation, uh, supporting and maintaining existing applications and build new applications. So they are faced with these few typical challenges. One, there is always 5 times more demand from the business in terms of the need to build applications than what they can service. And this is, we did a survey of our customers. Zoho has 50 million business users using our apps across 180 countries, which are close to more than 400,000 companies. So we routinely do these surveys, and this is what came out as one of the survey results, that business puts always so much demand on IT that internal IT is not able to meet it, and they are putting these demands because they are launching a new product, they need feedback from the customer. There is always something changing in their environment, and they need to deal with it, and they want to automate things. Second thing is, there is lack of talent, and the technology is changing so fast. Internal IT will never be able to either upgrade the skills of the internal talent or acquire this new talent all the time with changing technology, because it's very expensive. So there is that challenge, and the third is 70 to 80% of the internal IT's time goes into maintaining and supporting the applications, and that there is very little bandwidth available and resources available to build something new. And so when you have a platform like this available, where just with common scripting language skills like JavaScript, you are able to build applications 10 times faster, which is what Forrester has said. And Gartner, by the way, says that by 2023, 75% of all new applications will be built on low-code platforms. So with these kind of trends, the impact is in terms of faster development. It reduces your backlog of applications. Again, what are the data emerged from our survey that on an average, most companies had between 25 to 30 applications which were approved but were still in the backlog because the internal IT did not have the bandwidth to start building and working on them. So those, and with that kind of productivity enhancement of up to 10x, being able to do with the same talent pool available, that increases the ROI tremendously. And the ROI is not just in terms of efficiency of building applications, but also the time to market. I mean, from the point of view of something that the business needs, and if they come back to IT and say, give me this application, I need it, and the IT says, I'll give it to you, after 4 months, your number will come, I'll start working on it, and it will take me another 3 months to build. By that time, the need of that requirement itself is gone, and there is a huge opportunity cost in terms of not having it in place. So a lot of times leading to revenue loss because you're not able to do things in the market. So those are the typical benefits of low-code platform. In addition to the user experience that I talked about, when you are building for mobile by default, there is just greater adoption, and there is greater efficiency. Zoho Creator as a platform has been around for more than 13 years in the market. So it's a very matured product. 13,000 customers use this. They have built more than 7 million applications which are currently live on our platform. And these are customers spread across 180 countries. You see some names here. I talked about Samsonite, I'll spend some time talking about Aboitiz, which is a big conglomerate from Philippines. And then, there are MTN is a telecom major with close to 300 million users across Middle East and Africa. So yeah, fairly matured platform used by a lot of companies across the globe. In terms of what are the typical use cases, the applications of a low-code platform, uh, obviously, companies are using it to build applications much faster, giving that power to the internal teams, whether it is internal IT or even citizen developers who are business users. So to build these applications. The other is to extend your legacy applications, which otherwise, because they are old, um, monolithic, difficult to enhance, and absolutely expensive to maintain. Uh, Extending them becomes a great use case. One example is Tesla, where we associate Tesla with great technology, cutting edge technology, but their internal homegrown ERP is a big legacy system. So they have built some 50 different applications on Zoho Creator which integrate with their legacy system. But with that, they are able to augment the capabilities of that system and extend it to their supplier network and a lot of stakeholders outside the organization, which otherwise was not possible. And integration, of course, is important in any enterprise situation. What you build as any new application will invariably integrate with existing applications. So even in case of Samsonite, the example I gave you earlier, when the suitcase goes for repair, that application integrates with their HR application to identify the right mechanic who will have to work on it. It integrates with the ERP application to for better scheduling of this work, identification of the right warehouse where it has to go, and so on and so forth. So most enterprise applications require integration, and we have pre-built more than 300 pre-built connectors to mainstream ERP and other SaaS applications. So in the specific context of supplier portals, customer portals, solutions on Zoho Creator, which are relevant to the current problem statement that we are talking about today. Maybe I'll invite Bishan to share his thoughts. I mean, I talked about general capabilities, but Bishan, maybe would you like to talk about how these capabilities become more relevant in the context of the problem statement that we are discussing today?
Sure. Thanks, Sachin, for the context on Zoho Creator. Uh, I think it was helpful. So, idea of talking about Zoho Creator was since these portals are built on top of Zoho Creator, the platform. So all the capabilities of the platform that Sachin described, may it be 10 times faster development or easy extensibility, better ROI, all of that would be inherited by these portals also. So if I take an example of supplier portal, which we had a demo of, quick demo of. Uh, if you use, I mean, there are plenty of solutions, and Sirish asked that questions. There are multiple SRMs, you have the Rebas of the world, you have, I mean, many other options. Uh, but business processes within and the situation of different customers would vary. I mean, you could have a requisition approval system that you quickly might want to extend your supplier portal to, or change the process a bit of your supplier portal, add screens the way you want them to look, change the names of the field description, whatnot, language, you may want to change any number of things on your portal. Any of the monoliths or solutions built on these monoliths, where an SRM or a supplier portal is a module, make it very hard to change. You do not have a whole lot of flexibility, even though all would say we are customizable. But both from the cost involved in customizing them, to how effectively can you mold them to your need, remain big question marks. And that's where these portals built on Zoho Creator would have a big edge, since it is a platform which is intent to provide our customers ability to create, extend, integrate solutions. You can do all those things with the portals also. You can have requisition added, you can have at the back end of the flow, you can have your invoicing, maybe instead of manually getting done, it can get triggered the moment you do your ASNs, barcodes are read and all that. So that's a big advantage. So flexibility, I would say, is one. And second is the usability. When we say modern software, it means more from the usability perspective. Now, you see users, I mean, we are so into mobility right now. If any system is not supporting the various uh, possibilities that come with it, the different form factors, what kind of mobile phone a business user is using, whether Android, iOS, or so many different flavors of Android, whether it's a tab, whether they are using it on mobile browser through an app, or are they rather using something in between, your progressive web apps. So all those, and also at the same time supporting it through standard web browsers. Sometimes it's very hard to fit these systems, the existing old legacy monoliths, into this category. While with Zoho Creator, any solution, so would the portal. You can use them by default. They would be available, optimized for any device, and any channel that you use it through. So those two are big advantages. Those two, I would say, probably big uh, items for which I would rather go for a portal on Zoho Creator. And last but not the least is the return on investment. We talked about it initially. If you are going through any standard SRM, any such solutions, you could have hundreds and thousands of business partners outside. It's not only suppliers. I mean, we have to look at the customers, your distributors. Can you effectively do that? Can you do with the value that you think you can appreciate? Are you getting the ROI for that? And that's also a big advantage of having a portal through Zoho Creator. So in a nutshell, I think these are the advantages, in my opinion. And
Yeah,
back to you,
thank
Sachin.
you, Bishan. So yeah, I think just highlighting the last point, I think when you're looking at maybe in extending your applications to hundreds and thousands of users, you need the pricing to be very attractive per user, and I think that's available with Zoho Creator. So I think one can take advantage of that. Now, maybe spend a few minutes looking at the time as well, on an example which might be familiar, given it's from the region. So Aboitiz might be known to most of you, but for those who do not know, it's a $4 billion conglomerate based in Philippines. They are into multiple different industries. They are a very active user of Zoho Creator, and they were looking for a platform to build a solution initially for their CSR initiative. So that's how it started. And so they have a fairly big CSR budget, more than $200 million in India. This was a complex requirement where projects would get identified on the ground by different NGOs. They would submit their ideas. Budgets would get identified in different business units, would get approved within business unit and then at the headquarters. And then the projects would also get approved at the headquarter. And once the approval would happen, the money would get dispersed. The milestones of each of the project being executed by an NGO, that information would get collected, and further disbursements of money would happen at each of the milestone. So the reason I'm just giving you a sense of this detail is that this was an example which is very relevant to the situation we are talking about. Even though it was not commercial, it was CSR related, but it was all external to the organization. The projects were being executed by all these external stakeholders. A lot of people who are underprivileged were getting impacted. Their feedback was being collected, and all this information was being available within the organization. And then based on this being measured, the money was being distributed again to those external stakeholders. So so that was how it started, and that is what happened in the first 6 months. But in the next 1 year, they have just used Zoho Creator across the organization and have built more than 200 applications, some of which I'm sharing here. They relate to both internal and external requirements around managing their assets. Again, a lot of assets, some in part of their power business. There are multiple stakeholders involved. Inventory management, again, extends to both internal and external to the organization. A lot of portals for internal and external stakeholders, distributors, retailers, post-sale activities, onboarding of the various merchants which are part of their distribution chain, internal process automation for complex workflows like what I described, but even something very simple as is a booking application for parking spots. So something as simple as that. And then, adding usability, adding mobility to their legacy applications, existing applications, was another one that some of these applications relate to. And with a small team of, center of excellence team of just 4 people, the whole conglomerate is now on steroids in terms of, just building various different applications towards their, and this has become their central tool, if you will, to translate their digital transformation vision into reality.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.